right, time to take the big boy out of the fridge. This is heavy. I always do a 20-pound turkey because we have a lot of people to feed, but also because that's what I've always made, so I do it the same every year. Okay, now the brine worked its magic overnight. The salt works its way into the turkey meat, makes it really tender, kind of makes it juicy, but it does make the surface of the turkey really salty, so I'm gonna give it a really good rinse, get in the crevices, just like giving one of my babies a bath, and then I'm just gonna submerge the turkey, whoop, right into the water, and I'm just gonna let it sit in there for about 15 minutes or so, and that'll make sure all the excess salt in the cavities and on the skin gets washed away. All right, now I'll just stick the big guy on a baking sheet. I've got some paper towels on there, and I want to get him nice and patted dry before I put him on the roasting pan. Okay, nice and dry. Now you don't want the wings sticking out while it roasts, so I just lift up the bird and tuck him in as tightly as I can underneath. Okay, now for the legs, I'm just gonna tie them together, tie it nice and tight. Now I've got some really heavy aluminum foil. Just tuck it over the handles. I wanna trap as much heat in the pan as possible. Now for the first stage of cooking, this is gonna go into a 275-degree oven for about 3 to 3.5 hours. All right, the turkey's been in the oven for 3.5 hours. I'm getting ready to take it out and get it ready for the next stage. I'm gonna smear butter all over the surface, and I'm gonna flavor the butter with rosemary and orange zest. I've got 2 sticks of butter, and I'm gonna add a good amount of finely minced rosemary. And then I shaved some orange peel off of an orange and then cut it into teeny little slivers. Gonna add a little salt, and then just mush this all together. This orange rosemary butter is a nice nod to the brine mixture. The brine has both in it. Okay, now it's time to flex my muscles. I'm gonna get the turkey out of the oven. The house smells divine. All right, here we go. 1, 2, 3, up. Woo. And I'm gonna raise the temperature to 375 degrees. That's what the turkey will need on the second stage. All right, I'll take the foil off, and that is exactly what it's supposed to look like at this stage. It hasn't gotten brown yet, it's just started the cooking process. So I'm just gonna use my hands because it's faster, and I'm just gonna smear the butter all over the surface of the turkey. I want the orange zest to kind of stick to the surface of the bird. It's so pretty. Okay, now, my father-in-law Chuck is the only member of our family who likes stuffing in the bird. The rest of us like it in a baking dish, and I'll just stick it in the oven before the guests arrive. Nan and I always joke around that Chuck likes soft food. Everything he eats, he wants it to be nice and soft and soaked in liquid, and that's why he likes his stuffing in the bird. Now, the very last thing to do before it goes back into the oven is to insert the meat thermometer. I've got a heavy-duty one here, and I just stick it in the really thick part of the thigh, and that's the only way I can really tell if the turkey's done. Now the turkey's gonna go back into the 375-degree oven for about 2 to 2.5 more hours until the temperature reads 165. And while it cooks, I'm gonna baste it every 30 minutes with the golden butter and the juices to make sure it's golden brown and awesome. There is nothing like Thanksgiving. It's all about family togetherness. And I have found the best way to keep peace in my family at Thanksgiving is not to stray too far from the classics. So I definitely make turkey, dressing, all the good stuff. But this year I thought it'd be fun to do some shortcuts. So I am gonna show you a sensational shortcut for cooking turkey, and it involves spatchcocking the bird. You're gonna love this. The whole thing starts with a delicious maple butter. I'm already burning something. It's like every other Thanksgiving around here. So I am just melting a stick of butter, and I'm gonna doctor it up with deliciousness. Starting with a 1/3 cup of maple syrup, real maple syrup. And then I have some garlic that's really finely minced, and the 3 magical herbs of Thanksgiving: sage, rosemary, and thyme. What a delicious butter. I'm also gonna add a little bit of salt and pepper to the butter itself. All right, that's already starting to mix together. So I'm gonna give this a few minutes just to heat up and kind of become one. And while that happens, I'm gonna spatchcock this turkey. So I'd say like 15 years ago, if someone came up to me and said, "Hey, have you ever spatchcocked a turkey?" I probably would have called the police. But it really is an amazing method. It just takes a really good pair of kitchen shears and a little bit of patience. So this is about a 14-pound turkey, and I'm just gonna go in with these kitchen shears. And you just wanna use the kitchen shears to cut on either side of the backbone. Again, you wanna have really sharp kitchen shears. You just gotta grin and bear it. You do need to use your muscles and your patience a little bit. So when you get down toward the bottom, there's this hip joint, and you basically just have to give it all you've got until it cuts through. The great thing about spatchcocking a turkey is, first of all, it saves a ton of roasting time. You won't believe how quickly this bird is gonna cook. But second, it allows the turkey to cook really evenly. And I wanna give you another little tip. You can ask the butcher to do it. Ask him really nicely. Ask him with a smile. But then, when you've done it right, you've got the whole backbone cut out. So now what you do is flip the turkey over, and you've got to take your 2 hands and just press, and you'll know you got it when you hear that bone break. And then I usually like to kind of spread it apart. I'm sorry, guys. If you can get a good hold of it, just kind of spread it apart. But basically, you wind up with this turkey that's kind of laying flat, so it's gonna roast so evenly. So I'm gonna put it into the roasting pan, and I've already got a bed of veggies in the pan: carrots, onions, and celery, the classic veggie combination. And I'll bring the pan up. Now for the maple herb butter. I'll just brush it all over the surface of the turkey. I mean, this is a beautiful sight. Okay, I got most of that beautiful garlic herb maple butter brushed on the turkey. The maple syrup is gonna help caramelize the surface of the turkey, and it's just going to be incredible. Now I'm gonna get some salt in my hands and season the outside of the bird pretty generously. And same thing with pepper. Oh, that is one beautiful bird. So I'm gonna get this into the oven. For the first stage, I'm gonna put it into a 425-degree oven. That's a pretty high heat, but it's only for about 30 minutes to get the browning process started. Oh, this is gonna be delicious. Okay, the 30 minutes is up, so I'm gonna turn the temperature down to 375, and that'll stay that way for the rest of the cooking process. So the turkey is done for the first stage. I'm gonna get it out of the oven, and I'm gonna give it a quick baste before I put it back in. So there's all this glorious buttery liquid in the bottom of the pan. Basically, you want to brush this over every centimeter of skin. All right, looking so good. So I'm gonna put this back into the oven, 375 now, and I'm gonna let it finish roasting until a thermometer registers at 165 degrees. And once it does, I'll take it out of the oven and let it rest for 20 minutes, and then we're gonna carve this beauty up. The moment of truth. The bird's been resting, and there it is. Woo! Look at that beautiful skin. It's just perfect. So it's carving time. Now, this is usually a lad task, so please bear with me. First, I'll cut off the leg and thigh, and then cut through the joint to separate them. Next, I'll remove the breast, and the trick to carving it is to cut it skin side down so it doesn't tear. Okay, so here goes with the other side. Then last, I'll cut off the wings, side 1, then side 2. My final task is to put the delicious turkey on a platter, arranging a mix of dark meat with the entire breasts in slices. And I can't forget the wings, so everyone can just take the pieces that they want. So remember the veggies that were in the bottom of the roasting pan? We cannot forget those. I'm not gonna put all the veggies on the platter. I'm just gonna get a few special pieces. Honestly, I cannot get over how much faster this spatchcock turkey cooked. It was basically probably all in about an hour and 40 or 45 minutes, as opposed to, 4.5 hours. So I have some orange slices, which I think always set off a turkey platter in a beautiful way. And you can do rosemary, but I think parsley is so pretty. Just stick it in little strategic locations. And I cannot wait another second. I have to take a bite. Oh gosh. That is incredible. Juicy, and that maple herb butter, oh, absolute perfection. Spatchcock turkey. I'm making some delicious food, starting with turkey roulade, also known as stuffed turkey breast. I'm working on the stuffing now. I have a mixture of onion, celery, and fennel, and I've been sauteing it in a little butter. Smells really good. Now I've got to have some sausage in this stuffing. It makes for such a flavorful turkey breast. So I've got some pork sausage. I'm gonna cook this until it's totally browned. It'll take about 5 minutes. The sausage is all cooked. It has nice little brown, crispy bits. So I'm gonna grab a bottle of brandy, and I'm gonna pour in an amount that I'm not going to disclose. Let's just say it's a good amount. I'll season this with just a little bit of salt and pepper. I have just a couple of herbs, finely minced rosemary, and finely minced parsley. I've always got to have that green that parsley adds to Thanksgiving stuffing. Okay, I'm gonna turn the heat off, and this mixture is gonna get poured into a bowl. Part of the reason is I'm gonna mix it with some other good stuff, and the other part is I want it to cool down pretty quickly so it's not too hot when I stuff the turkey breast. For the stuffing part, I'm gonna add seasoned stuffing cubes. These come in a bag from the grocery store. Okay, the hot sausage mixture is starting to cool down, so I'll add an egg. That'll help sort of keep the stuffing together. And it needs just a little bit of liquid. So I have some low sodium chicken broth, and I'll just drizzle it in really slowly while I stir it. I don't like an overly mushy stuffing. I'd like for you to be able to see the bread cubes. Just a little bit more. The stuffing looks great, and it's nice and cool. Now for the bird, I used a whole turkey breast. The bones were taken out. The skin is still on the outside. And what I did was I butterflied it just a little bit so it would lay perfectly flat. Then I took a mallet and sort of pounded the thicker areas so it was a really uniform thickness. Now, I'm gonna say a Hail Mary and turn this over really carefully, and it all stayed together. I pre-cut pieces of kitchen twine so I wouldn't have to wrestle with it after I got it stuffed. So I'll just work the twine under the turkey breast, and I'll tie it not too tight, but definitely tight enough to keep everything together while it roasts. Cut off the excess. There's really nothing complicated about turkey roulade. I want this to roast on a rack, so I'm gonna really carefully transfer it over and put the rack on the pan. So I'll grab a hunk of butter and I'll just use my hands to rub it on the surface of the skin. Nice sprinkle of salt and pepper. Okay, this is gonna roast in a 425-degree oven for about 30 minutes, and then I'll turn it down to 350 and let it roast for about an hour or until the temperature reaches 155. It's been such a great day of Thanksgiving prep, and I only have one more thing to make, and that's the maple whiskey brine for the turkey. I've been brining my turkey for years, and it always results in a flavorful, moist bird. Now, I'll get the brine liquid going. I have 2 quarts of water in the pot. Any brine solution obviously has to have lots of salt, and that's what makes it a brine. So I'll add a good cup of kosher salt. And now for the fun stuff. My regular brine recipe uses apple cider, but I'm breaking out the whiskey, and I'm gonna pour in almost all of the bottle. This looks like a lot, but I'm making a lot of brine. I've got 2 bottles of maple syrup. I like to balance the salt of the brine with some sweet, and normally I will add brown sugar, but I thought maple syrup sounded so delicious, especially with the whiskey. Now for some other pretty and fun ingredients, I'll add a whole bunch of orange peel. I just sliced it right off the oranges, and then the peel of some green apple and red apple. This always looks so gorgeous, and it just reminds me of the holidays. Now, 3 tablespoons of tricolor peppercorns, 5 bay leaves, and then a whole bunch of minced garlic for flavor. The very last thing to give it amazing flavor, I've got some rosemary sprigs, and I'll just strip the leaves right off. I'll turn the heat on high, and I'll stir it around and bring it to a boil. When the brine had cooked and cooled, I got it in the fridge, all ready for its date with the turkey tomorrow. All right, the time has come to brine the turkey, finally. Now, I've got a big, beautiful 20-pound turkey in a brining bag. These are so handy. And then I've got the great brining solution I made yesterday, and it just goes right in. The turkey needs to be totally submerged in liquid, and this is way too strong on its own, so the water dilutes it so it's just right. I just keep adding until the turkey is totally covered. All right, I'm gonna get this bad boy into the fridge. It's been in the oven for about 3.5 hours, and I'll pull off the foil and take a look. Now, this is exactly what you want the turkey to look like at this stage. It shouldn't have any color at all. Now, I'm gonna crank up the heat on the oven to 375. That's gonna help it get golden brown. And another thing to help with the color is some softened butter. I'll just grab a little bit at a time and use my hands to smear it all over the surface. Let me fill you in on what I've done with the turkey so far this morning. So the brine had worked its magic, and it was just a matter of pouring it away, getting the turkey out of the bag and under the tap to rinse it inside and out. The salt makes the meat really tender and juicy, but it makes the surface salty, so the bird needs a really good rinse. Then I submerged it in a pot of water to soak it for 15 minutes and make sure all the salt was washed away. I took it out, rinsed it again, and put it onto a baking sheet lined with paper towels and patted it dry. You don't want the wings sticking out, so I just lifted up the bird and tucked them under the turkey and tied the legs with string. I put the turkey onto a rack and covered the whole pan with foil and put it into the oven. Now, before it goes back into the oven for stage 2, I'm gonna grab a thermometer and I'll just stick it behind the joint of the drumstick. I'm gonna get the turkey back into the oven. It's gonna roast at 375 for about 2 to 2.5 hours, and I'll baste it every 30 minutes until the temperature reaches 165. I've learned through the years that the more you do ahead of time, the better. So I did some prep work yesterday, including brining the turkey. You just throw 3 cups of apple cider into a pot of cold water. Then you throw in the leaves of 4 rosemary sprigs, 5 cloves of garlic, 3/4 a cup of kosher salt, 2 cups of brown sugar, 3 tablespoons of tricolor peppercorns, 5 whole bay leaves, and finally the peel of 3 large oranges cut into large strips. Then you stir the whole mixture until the salt and sugar dissolve. Bring it to a boil, cover it and allow it to cool completely. Give the turkey a good rinse, then put it into a large brining bag or pot. Then pour in the brine mixture and just stick it in the fridge for several hours. My turkey's been brining in the fridge since yesterday, so I'm gonna get on up to the lodge and get started on the feast.